It's finally Friday.
It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday Show. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. We're so glad you could join us. Coming up, we'll talk some Eclipse Awards and the Pegasus World Cup. But first, Ray, this week we've had two pieces from the former executive director of the Indiana Horse Racing Commission, Joe Goracek, talking about combating the culture of cheating that exists within the thoroughbred racing industry. Lots of comments about this subject. What was your takeaway?
Twofold, really. The first, Goracek cited an Association of Racing Commissioners International project that sampled the opinions of stakeholders in the industry. And 58% of them somewhat or totally agreed with the statement that cheating with designer drugs is rampant. And another question, 57% agreed somewhat or totally agreed with the statement that many of my friends are cheating. So number one, this is an issue, no matter what some people may say.
Yeah.
And number two, the second takeaway is the status quo is just not working. The idea of post-race testing, that the way it's been done for years is simply not working. All it's doing is catching a few people with usually mistaken overages of therapeutic drugs. It's
Right.
not catching the real cheaters.
It's not catching the illegal drugs, the doping that's going on, and people are saying, well, where's the evidence of this? Of course, we have the evidence within these two stories that, it's very hard to detect, for example, using EPO. It's like, 3 days you can detect it, but it lasts for 120 days. So there's one thing. The other glaring statistic that came out of these pieces was the discussion with Jeff Nowitzki, who is with the UFC now, but he's been in charge of ferreting out cheaters in track and field, cycling, and other sports for a long time. And he said of the 200 or so prosecutions that he had for cheating, less than 5% of them were associated with a positive drug test. The other 95+% were investigations, and that's how they figured out that these people were cheating. So there's more evidence right there that we need to be ramping up the investigative side of this in order to catch people. We've seen it at certain places like Jeff Gural at Meadowlands and what he's done to try to catch cheaters. He has private investigators following people around, following them out of the training center, catching them in the act. That's what needs to happen, because otherwise, if you're relying on post-race drug testing, it ain't going to happen.
Right, and out of competition testing, to talk about testing for a second, it's so anemic in horse racing, and some of the enhanced security procedures we have for big races like next week's Pegasus, the Triple Crown races, the Breeders' Cup, they have what they call 72-hour enhanced security. Well, as you said, 72 hours is meaningless if you've been giving a blood doping agent to a horse weeks in advance. The out-of-competition testing has to be a surprise. It has to happen when the trainers least expect it, and it can't happen when the horses are entered to race, like is the case in some places now.
And Nowitzki said if horse racing's out-of-competition testing program was in place at UFC, cheating would absolutely be rampant in UFC. So it's clearly not enough. And, you just have to use your common sense, use your eye, see what you see on the track, and then look at the statistics, the probabilities. What is the probability that the same trainer will ship into another state and win the same race with a different horse year after year after year? Or what is the probability that a trainer will take a horse claimed for $5,000 and then the next race or whenever they're in a grade 3, or that they're winning 40 or 45% during a meet? Those are red flags that aren't being followed up on enough.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing the defenders of the status quo say the tests aren't catching anybody, so we have a clean sport. Let me just say, the testing never caught Lance Armstrong. It was the investigations that caught him.
Exactly. All right, let's move on and talk about the Pegasus World Cup, which Ray, we've been discussing this for months and months. It's finally a week away, and lo and behold, we've been asking whether it's going to be a success or a flop. We have a 12-horse field. Looking at the field, looking at the expected attendance, etc., where are we now in terms of what you think about the race?
If there was no Pegasus World Cup, California Chrome would be getting ready to go to stud, and Arrogate would probably be taking some time off or just getting ready to train. So it is a huge success in that the best two horses in training are going to face each other one last time. They met in the Breeders' Cup. Arrogate got the edge. This is the rematch. And this wouldn't have happened. So it's a success from the standpoint that the two best horses in training will be racing against each other. The track is sold out. I looked online. Many of the places are sold out. There's probably some tickets. Certain tickets are still available. But people said, oh, they're charging way too much for dining room seats and all that. Well, guess what? This is a big event. They're getting premium pricing for it, and they should, because they're going to put on a great show.
Yeah, I have to admit, I cringed when I saw the ticket prices, and I mean, it is pretty expensive. It's more like what the Breeders' Cup could charge, because they have grade 1 race after grade 1 race for 2 days in a row. The undercard for the Pegasus, I'm not sure is going to be that strong, but I get what they're trying to do at this small venue with this new big event. I'm more worried about the field. I'm hoping it stays intact. In fact, I'm hoping that Gunrunner will come out of the EHV1 protocol in Louisiana and actually be able to race in the Pegasus, and that one of these long shots that has virtually no chance will sell their spot to Gunrunner, so we actually have a third real contender. Because if you take out Arrogate and California Chrome, this race really is a grade 2, probably a grade 3, to be quite honest. All right, let us know who you think is going to win, Chrome, Arrogate, or someone else in the field. Don't forget, the Eclipse Awards are coming up tomorrow night. Ray, we are very proud to have 2 representatives with Natalie Voss and John Scheinman this year. And, while a lot of the races have already been decided, it is kind of fun at this time of year to look back on some of the greatest moments of last year.
California Chrome in front. It's Alchemy in Dubai. Chrome turns to gold.
They're coming to the line together, and Nyquist is still unbeaten. He has won the Kentucky Derby. But Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness Stakes.
Champion, Parado racing it out near the line. Champion puts down the wins for America and back the winner.
Frosted's 10 in front. Frosted is absolutely wrapped in the Met Mile. He was wrapped up.
It is Songbird, this magnificent filly, winning the Alabama. She is a perfect 10.
One of the greatest performances you'll ever see. California Chrome in a canter.
They've left the field reeling behind. American Freedom and Gunrunner are fired behind Arrogate.
Arrogate still coming. California Chrome. Arrogate steals the show in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Furlong to run. Songbird, Beholder, they are nose to nose. This race living up to its expected power as they come to the wire. They're noses apart. It's Beholder.
Obviously, both Songbird and Beholder are going to win Eclipse Awards in their divisions. There's a few divisions where there might be some suspense. The only suspense in Horse of the Year, I think, is how close the race will be with California Chrome beating Arrogate. But it's always fun just to look back at the year, to celebrate the champions, and it was a great year for racing.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show. Don't forget, you can catch the Eclipse Awards on TVG2 tomorrow night, and also it's being broadcast online in several places, including NBCSports.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.